so we want to make sure we keep on schedule. So good afternoon and welcome. I'm Joe Gorelka, President of Oakland Rotary number 3.
Joe, that mic is your friend. Talk into it. There it is.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yeah, okay, I'm Joe Gorelka, President of Oakland Rotary number 3, a retired CPA, CFO at East Bay Restaurant Supply, but you can call me Coach Joe. So Oakland Rotary was founded in 1909. Now 160 years, 16 years later, we are the third oldest Rotary club in the world of more than 45,000 Rotary clubs with 1.2 million Rotarians in over 200 countries. We have local and global impact. At Oakland Rotary number 3, we gather as business and community leaders to exchange ideas, enjoy fellowship, and take action to address needs in the world and in our community of Oakland. And of course, have fun. Welcome, I'm so glad you're here, either in person or online. Last week, we were at a picnic. I hope you enjoyed it. I thought it was an awful lot of fun, except maybe for the watermelon contest, which I had to participate in. Hello, everybody. Hello, 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 hello. So I want to make sure I thank Tom Lamone and Mark Rosen, chairs for our picnic. I thought it was outstanding. So I'd like to welcome our visiting Rotarians and guests. Do we have any visiting Rotarians today?
Hey, we got some.
Can we get them?
Hold on, everybody.
No, that's okay, that's okay. So now let's introduce any visitors we have.
Oh, okay.
And
you visitors
Ollie's got a couple
excited.
visitors, so I'm going to ask her to introduce them from up here.
If he makes me sit on the dais, I get the mic for a minute. I just want to introduce Molly Lorenz. Hi. I'm trying to get Molly to be a member, so wine and diner people. And then two of the most important people who help run the Ed Fund, Alicia and Kelly. That's our Director of Volunteer Programs, as well as our Chief Development Officer.
Thank you, Ollie. We'll hear a little more from Ollie in a minute. So now let's please welcome Rick Baskin.
No, hold on. Don't get excited.
Oh, sorry.
You see that your co-manager is standing up right now.
My bad there. My General Merlin has a guest. Merlin?
Yeah, shame on you, President Joe. But I do have a guest, Kevin Blackburn. Kevin Blackburn is a retired lobbyist, a very good friend of mine. We meet every Tuesday night at our Bible study class, and he's also a potential member. Kevin Blackburn.
Welcome. So, are there any other guests?
Thank you. Nice. I think that's it, Joe.
We're good? We're good. So now let's welcome Rick Baskin, a retired personal injury attorney and blues harmonica player. With Rick Baskin laying down the law, Rick's going to give us a thought for the day. Rick?
Thank you, Joe. In light of our guest today, I have two short quotes about art and music. The first is from the painter, Pablo Picasso. All children are artists. The problem is how to remain an artist when you grow up. The second is from my mentor, the great blues harmonica player, Charlie Musselwhite. Some players, they have all their licks memorized, they think about what they're going to play. But I tried to think about what not to play. Tone and phrasing, that's what's important. Less is more. The feeling, that's the thing, the feeling. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Rick. Music brings joy to life. We appreciate your thought for the day. So this week we have a meeting sponsor, and I guess you want to know what a meeting sponsor is. Well, a meeting sponsor for $300 can promote their business, event, or basically whatever they want to our entire club of 250 local business leaders and community leaders. I think it happens to be the best value out there. So without ado, I'd like to introduce our meeting sponsor, Ali Medina, CEO of the Oakland Public Education Fund. Ali?
Hi, everyone. My name's Ali Medina. I'm really excited to sponsor this meeting. What a great opportunity. I love that we have this whole system for Rotary. You may know our Treasurer and Finance Committee Chair of the Oakland Ed Fund, Will Hobbs, one of my favorite people. He brought me onto the Rotary, invited me. We've had a lot of interaction with Rotarians as volunteers for our read-ins and our back-to-school cleanup weeks, and we just have really grown as an organization to really appreciate the Rotary. And then I was so excited to just say, like, I'm ready to join, let's do it. So in case you want to know a little bit more about us, just like really quickly, our mission is really simple and very powerful. We're the engine that connects community resources to Oakland's public schools, and to ensure that every student has the tools they need to learn, grow, and thrive. And what does that mean? It's a lot of word salad sometimes, right? Over the last 20 years, we've served as the trusted partner to Oakland Unified School District. And with that partnership, our impact has just really grown exponentially. We are a traditional ed fund, so 501c3, where we help raise resources for the schools, but we're also their fiscal sponsor, which is not usual. I don't actually have never come across another ed fund in the state of California that is also a fiscal sponsor of their school district. So not only do we help raise, steward, hold the dollars, we help them spend them more efficiently, bringing more efficiency to public education funding, which is one of the top 3 things that we need to do according to research to make public education more sustainable in this state. And I'm really excited that I get to be a part of that. Some of our high-level impact, we've raised over $275 million. I know. I can say the 275 because we just did our audit, and it's on our website. And we've secured and issued 20,000 stipend checks for young people who've completed internships with Oakland Unified School District. And you guys everybody who lives in Oakland might know about the Measure NH tax that we pay, an assessment, and those funds we actually help transacting. So we pay the taxes as Oaklanders, and then the ed fund cuts the checks. There has to be an agency in there that can actually hand the dollars to the kids, and we're really excited to be a trusted partner of that major commission. And then you may have heard us talk incessantly about how proud we are that we helped to purchase and distribute 27,000 computers to students in OUSD in all of Oakland during COVID, and 10,000 hotspots. And we still have those darn hotspot contracts. Me and T-Mobile are best friends. But I want to be honest, like, our work is not just about dollars and cents, though we know that's what kind of makes education funding go around. It's really about people and our connections, and so I really want to invite everybody here to partner with us on 2 of our most powerful initiatives. Like I mentioned, our Oakland School Volunteers program. As professionals and residents and supporters in the heart of our city, you have a wealth of knowledge. Time is your resource, right? I always say, like, your human capital and time is just as important to Oakland schools. We have 8,000 cleared volunteers right now, 8,000. If you just times that times $25 an hour, we're talking over $1 million in people's time and resources, let alone if you're a banker or you have a job that pays more than a basic livable minimum wage in the city of Oakland, right? Whether you can commit to a regular schedule or just want to help with a one-time event, your presence in a classroom, on our school campuses, putting up a bulletin board, it makes a really big world of difference. Alicia is here in case anybody wants to continue to follow up, and there's some information on the tables. And then secondly, I'm really excited to tell you a little bit about our festival, and there's some cards. It's the Oakland Grown Festival. So last year, 2 years ago, I finally said, like, I can't possibly do another gala. Like, I need a break from galas, right? I love galas. If you have a gala and you need a guest, I'll go to your gala. I'm really fun. I love the Rotary Gala, but like putting on a gala, wow. We did 5 of them in 5 years, 2 online, and by the 5th one, our 20th anniversary, I was really burned out. So now, instead, we're doing an inclusive fundraiser, and it's called Oakland Grown Student Art and Music Festival. Currently, it's being held on October 18th, but we just found out the No King's Day is that day, so we may get an updated date. We'll let you know. But we're still looking for sponsors and attendees. Tickets are on sale, and please come and join us. 700 people came last year to Oakland Museum, 150 performers and visual artists from Oakland Unified School District schools performed. And we have a headliner of Oakland residents and alumni called Oakland Rising. They just performed at the Kennedy Center and are really fabulous. So thank you. Yeah. And this is my 3 minutes too, so.
Thank you, Ali. I believe education is key to a quality of life, and I appreciate everything that you do to make that happen. So we have a little sad news. Past District Governor Hung Wei recently passed away just a week or so ago, and I think you know she was battling lung cancer for quite a period of time. Hung was a true Rotary cheerleader, fun and energetic. She preached that you are a Rotarian for life. Her services were today. I attended online. They have them fairly quickly. Please let's have a moment of silence for our dear Rotarian past District Governor Hung Wei. Thank you. She will be remembered. And I'd like to ring the bell for Hung. Ruth? Ruth rings the bell for Hung Wei. Thank you, Ruth, and thank you, Hung. You will be remembered. Seth Butner rings the bell for Hung Wei. Thank you, Alex, for asking. I appreciate that. A bell ringer is a generous $100 donation to the Oakland Rotary Endowment, which supports our community service projects. So thank you for that. I think you also know that we had a Rotarian of our own pass away recently. Jerry Went, and Michael Bruck, past President Michael Bruck, a retired attorney, former politician, and now the Oakland Zoo docent. He's going to tell us a little bit about the great quality of life Jerry had.
Thank you, President Joe. It's with respect and gratitude that we remember Jerry Went, a devoted Rotarian, community leader, and cherished friend. As president of the Oakland Rotary Club in 1986-87, Jerry led with great vision during a transformative moment in Rotary history, just 1 month after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that Rotary clubs must admit women. Jerry proudly inducted 6 women into our club, helping pave the way for a more inclusive future. His legacy of service extended beyond our club boundaries. He organized the very first Rotary Village Corps in the United States, bringing resources to East Oakland residents on Lockwood Street. His leadership also reached across borders. He was instrumental in arranging a $50,000 Rotary international grant for a hospital project in San Salvador, an effort so impactful that it was recognized by El Salvador's Congress. Before his Rotary years, Jerry had a very unique start as a child actor, appearing in Our Gang and Little Rascal comedies and other films until high school. Graduate of Hollywood High, he went on to graduate from Cal, Berkeley, where he was a Cal Yell leader. In his professional life, he was a dedicated real estate professional in both commercial and residential sectors. In Orinda, where he made his home, he played a pivotal role in founding the Orinda Community Center and was honored as Orinda Citizen of the Year for his contributions. He was also a co-founder of the Orinda Roadrunners and impressively completed 37 marathons all around the world. Above all, Jerry was a devoted family man who found his greatest joy in the company of his wife Linda and his 3 children and 8 grandchildren. We honor Jerry not only for his many accomplishments, but for his generous, forward-thinking spirit that defined his life. His impact on our club, our community, and all who knew him will not be forgotten. Thank you. And I'd like to ring the bell in memory of Jerry. No gavel up here.
Thank you, thank you. Had to improvise. So Michael Bruck rang the bell for Jerry Wendt. I also would like to ring the bell for Jerry Wendt. Ken? Ken would ring the bell. Santa Claus? Shannon rings the bell for Jerry Wendt. Seth Butner? Rick, do you want to ring the bell and say something quick?
Hold on, you hit him in a bicycle accident?
Fool. No. I had the honor of representing Jerry in a terrible bicycle accident. He recovered quickly because he had such a great spirit, and he helped me become a Paul Harris Fellow. That's how much he cared about Rotary. So I love him, and I miss him.
Thank you, Rick. And Jerry will also be remembered. And now we have the opportunity to hear a 3-minute introduction, an opportunity for one of our members to let us know a little bit about their personal life, their business life, and why they've become a Rotarian. So please welcome Maria Aldarte, co-founder and executive director of Community Kitchens and Lucas, one of my favorite places. Maria, look forward to your 3-minute introduction.
All right. Thanks so much, Joe. My name is Maria, and I want to take this time to share with you a little about my life in and love of Oakland. I only have 3 minutes, so know that this is a very abbreviated version. My husband and I came to Oakland over 30 years ago. We had dropped out of UC Santa Cruz and decided to travel like hobos internationally, but in 1992 we landed in Oakland. We started working in restaurants and we're making minimum wage, and every spare dollar that we had, we used it to take culinary journeys. But what we learned is we didn't actually have to travel internationally. In fact, we didn't even have to leave Oakland. I ate my first pho in Oakland. I had several Ethiopian restaurants walking distance from my house. I had my Chinese duck noodle soup place, and the tacos, man. There are so many amazing tacos in Oakland. And we fell in love with the food and the culture and the community. On a whim, I applied to go to UC Berkeley, and I got in, and my husband ended up at Hastings in law school. Together, we were very, very poor, but we were able to self-finance our own college education, get office jobs, and buy a house. Honestly, I was shocked back in 1999 that 2-bedroom bungalows in Rockridge were going for $325. That was outrageous. But we ended up saving money and getting a house near Lake Merritt with a beautiful view. and my love of parks and Oakland space just really drew me in to that center. After 5 years of working office jobs, we made the riskiest decision of our lives. Rick took me to the corner of West Grand and Broadway to an old beat-up building that used to house the Hofbrau. At the time, I loved to dance, but sleeping on my friends' floors in San Francisco because BART closed at midnight was getting a little bit old. And Rick told me, let's stop crossing the bridge and bring good food and nightlife to Oakland. We decided at that moment to double down on Oakland, and we opened Luca's in 2004, and it really paid off. For over 18 years, Luca's was Oakland's clubhouse and brought together our community with good eats and a warm and diverse vibe. The pandemic really changed everything, honestly, but I'm proud to say that we stayed true to ourselves and our community. We had staff that had actually been with us the entire 18 years we were open, and we could not turn them away. And knowing personally what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck, I knew that they were gonna need help. So my husband and I spent the first week of shelter in place reaching out to everyone who had walked through the doors of Oakland in those 18 years. And in 1 week's time, we raised enough money to start a new program feeding the unhoused. And since we closed Luca's, we've been dedicating our time to building our nonprofit Community Kitchens. Community Kitchens we're in a very critical crisis moment at this time, as SNAP cuts are gonna hit our community pretty drastically next year. We are projecting over $80 million in food being taken off the tables of our low-income houses. So you can learn more about Community Kitchens at ckoakland.org, but I just wanted to end with this. I joined the Rotary because I wanted to find ways to give young adults the same opportunities I had. And with a high cost of living, this is not an easy task. So I look forward to finding my Rotary space with you all to make these dreams and opportunities a reality for the next generation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marie. Marie, you'll have to let us know when Luca's 2.0 is ready and open. I know it's going to be a while. So now we have the privilege of inducting a new member to Oakland Rotary number 3. He'll be provided a packet of information with our brochure, the 4-way test brochure, 4-way test coin, and of course his badge and pin that brings with it 250 new friends here in Oakland and 1.2 million around the world. Barbara Berry is our sponsor. She is a retired attorney and CPA. So Barbara is going to introduce our new member with 2 interesting facts. Then I'll present him his badge and pin, and then we can all stand and give him a warm Oakland Rotary welcome. So Barbara?
Please join me in welcoming our newest member, Bill Swartz. Yes, Swartz. To quote his uncle's license plate, no CH. I relate to this as a beery, not a berry. Bill and I met on our swim team. When he's not making waves in the pool, he's making them in video gaming as president of Mastiff, a company he founded 23 years ago. In 8th grade, Bill dreamed of building Disney animatronics and ride systems. However, such is life, he's spent the last 38 years in video games. Bill has an international streak, having spent some childhood years in Mombasa, Kenya, and lots of time in Japan, including his junior year of college and 10-plus years as managing director of Activision Japan. And yes, he's a Japanese speaker and he's married to a Japanese woman. Now, Bill, who made a nice part-time income in high school by entering and sometimes winning various speech contests, including Rotaries, is ready to revive our speech contest. Let's officially welcome Bill Swartz as our newest member.
Is there someone out there with the cell phone to take a quick picture? Oh, there, thank you. You got it? Bill, here's your badge, official badge and Rotary pin. Welcome to Oakland Rotary number 3. We're glad to have you on the team.
Well done. That's so nice work from LCH. Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here.
We're thrilled to have you. Barbara, while you're here, you want to give us a quick update on the World Community Service Committee and maybe some travel opportunities?
Thank you, President Joe, for this opportunity to address a frequently asked question. What are the travel opportunities with the Carl Stuckey World Community Service Committee? It's true that travel with Rotary is very special. It has a Rotary purpose. You meet amazing people and learn about another culture. And you have fun. People ask how to bring grants. Well, here's how. For example, Karen Friedman and Michael Bruck have organized trips to Medellin, Colombia, including the one just this last spring. They are successfully maintaining relationships with Rotarians there, and on these trips, our club members have stayed in Rotarians' homes and participated in local Rotary projects, such as eye exams for children. Then they brought back to the committee the request to help fund this project ongoing. They anticipate another trip, perhaps in 2027. In 2024, Rochelle Smeester-Karpelis and Dana Sack joined me on a trip that I organized to Nepal and India because I wanted to meet the NGOs that we had helped in 9 global grants with the Bombay Queen City Club in Mumbai. As part of our committee work, you too could organize a trip to visit a host club that we work with and review our joint project. A reliable way to combine travel with service to the world is to attend a scheduled annual project fair in the part of the world that you want to visit. For example, Wendy Wally from the Los Altos Rotary Club organizes occasional trips to East Africa. Tomorrow morning, she has a Zoom about Uganda. Also, you can search the RI website for upcoming project fairs. There are 2 coming up in Mexico. Our World Community Service Committee is named after Carl Stuckey, who together with the late Juan Forster in Guatemala, started an annual project fair called Uniendo America, which rotates annually among the Central American countries. In 2026, on January 24 and 25, it will again take place in Guatemala. John Gressley and Gudrun Dibdahl are going. In addition, Colombia has its own annual project fair that moves around within their country. The next one is in Cali from January 29 to 31 with a pre-fair tour of 3 days and a post-fair trip to develop friendships. So yes, you could go from the project fair in Guatemala to the one in Colombia, as John and Gudrun are doing. Tell me if you are interested and I can put you in touch. You can also develop grants from travel that you are already doing. For example, my Lutheran church has a history of supporting several schools for girls in Tanzania, and I have long wanted to visit to see for myself. Rochelle Smeester-Karpelis is joining me. While we are there, we will meet 3 women in the Rotary Club of Arusha to explore the possibility of sharing Rotary support for a refuge for girls to escape genital mutilation, and early childhood marriage. Eradicating these is already a government policy. This is my last point. Point about global grants. About global grants that you could involve travel opportunities. You can attend any of 3 different Rotary conferences in each year. The District Avenues of Service event will be this October 16 in Oakland. The district conference will be from May 1 to 3 in Reno, Nevada, and the Rotary International Convention will be June 13 to 17 in Taipei, Taiwan. Each of these events has a house of friendship where Rotarians enthusiastically present their projects, and you can explore what ignites your passion. An example of how this could work for you is Rochelle Karpelis, who attended an Avenues of Service event, met people in the Rotary Club of Cupertino, found a project that lit her fire, and ended up traveling to Cambodia, which she says was a life-changing experience. I wish you the same. You build goodwill and better understanding with different cultures coming together to unite for good. And have fun.
Barbara, I want to quickly, Barbara, before you head off, I want to quickly give you a Rotary on the Run medal for all the service projects and grants that you participated in, and for fostering a wish to end cervical cancer in the world. We appreciate all your efforts, Barbara. Can I call up Dana Sack real quick, and then Kimberly Miller? Dana Sack, I want to give you also, present you a Rotary on the Run medal for providing 2 parade-worthy cards for our cars for our 4th of July parade and a sailboat trip around the bay with our Fukuoka students. Dana, we appreciate everything you do. And now I bring up Kimberly Miller, CEO with Fairyland. She's got an important announcement about what we're going to do next week. And Tom, I'm sorry, we're probably going to have to...
No, we're not going to bump Tom. It's good. Okay. Hi. Good afternoon, Rotarians. I'm Kimberly Miller, CEO of Children's Fairyland. I'm here to welcome you on September 11th to Fairyland. It will be a fun evening with bites and bevies. After some regular club business, you all will be treated to our first bilingual puppet show, Tio Conejo's Big Wish, and a brief history talk from master puppeteer Randall Metz. The fun starts at 5. See you there. Tom Lemo.
I'll be brief. Okay, we have some volunteer opportunities coming up. These are opportunities out in the community, October 4th and 5th. Oktoberfest in the Diamond District. Who's gone before? All right. Who likes to pour wine, beer? All right. We need 4 volunteers each day, Saturday and Sunday. If you want to sign up, they're 4-hour shifts, and you can taste it for quality control if you're pouring. So if you want to go, if you want to volunteer, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom, for being quick. Hey, Kimberly, I think we got a future president in our making out there. You know how to take control. And since you took a little bit of time, I want to announce 3 things just real quick. Sorry, CJ. Every 3rd Saturday, Rick Baskin and Laying Down the Law plays at Taste of Rome. Next Friday, on September 12th, Awesome Orchestra with Allison Bliss will perform outside of the Oakland Museum. On Friday, September 26th, Corner Pocket, our own Linda Hamilton and Jason Weiselman will perform. And now I want to bring up CJ Hirschfeld, a nonprofit retired executive. See?
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Coach. Well, you know that every silver lining has a touch of gray. This month, 180,000 Deadheads attended a 3-night concert series in Golden Gate Park celebrating Grateful Dead's 60th anniversary. At the center of it all was musician, songwriter, music journalist, and radio host David Gans, who presents 2 syndicated radio shows on the Dead and who literally wrote the book on the band. And if you want to, you can register for his Stanford Continuing Studies course, which is wonderful. So David's been a performer for half a century and has done live concerts, last I heard, 45 out of 50 states. I don't know if you've added any. He and Rita, his lovely wife of 31 years, live in the Grand Lake District with their 2 cats, Ringo and Percy. Please welcome David as he shares his personal Deadhead journey and the highlights of the recent festival.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me. I've lived in Oakland for 51 years. My wife is a volunteer gardener at Fairyland and works there every Thursday. And I love Oakland, and I don't intend to leave if I don't absolutely have to. I became a Grateful Dead fan the usual way, a strong dose of LSD and the urging of several friends. It worked out well for me in the long run. I was already a musician, but I became a fan of the Grateful Dead and got interested in that way of making music, which is very different from normal ways of making music. I wandered into journalism in the mid-'70s in order to get free concert tickets and records, and wound up being kind of good at it, so I had a 10-year career as a music journalist. My favorite topic was the Grateful Dead, so I started meeting members of the band and covering them and stuff, and eventually got to be friends with several of them. I accidentally got a book deal in 1984, which led to publishing the first of several books I've done on that subject, and that led to an appearance on the KFOG Deadhead Hour, which led to my becoming the host of the KFOG Deadhead Hour, which led to my producing and hosting a syndicated radio show about the Grateful Dead ever since. I planned none of this, and that's one of the things that I think about when I talk about the Grateful Dead. I published a book of my own photos and stories called Improvised Lives, because that's what this is. The Grateful Dead formed an improvisational way of making music and an improvisational way of living in the 1960s, when such things were possible and even doable. And they created an utterly unique way of making music that was largely inscrutable to many, many people out there in the world. But over the years, the world has come around. It's been really, really fun. They were folk musicians and jazz musicians and rock musicians who, again with the help of LSD, shed all of the boundaries between those musical forms and created a new kind of music making that we call collective improvisation. And as a lot of jazz is people, they play the head of the song and then they take turns playing solos over the changes or whatever. That's not how the Grateful Dead work. Everybody solos at the same time. They're all playing individually, but they're playing with each other, listening to each other, and collectively creating something that's bigger than the individual parts. One of my ways of describing this is to say that everybody in the band has the power to dominate the rap and the good grace not to. It's a style of music making that can be brought out into the rest of the world, into your dealings with other people. As a record producer, I've taken the same method. I bring people in and I don't tell them what to play. We say, here's the song, let's hear what you have to say, and then everybody creates the thing together. It's a delightful way to do things if you collect the right people, right kind of people to do it. Grateful Dead were very, very good at that through a whole bunch of changes, and they were sort of a cult object for many, many years. People that liked the Grateful Dead really, really liked the Grateful Dead, and lots of other people went, what the hell is that? Because it was hard to follow. They play a song, a really, really wonderful song, but then they'd go off into this jam that just sounded like people noodling unless you were into it. And if you understood what was going on, you followed it really, really closely. And those of us who really appreciated it really listened closely. And that's how they did something that inadvertently became brilliant marketing. They made they made a show that you would want to see every time. You wouldn't go to 3 Eagles shows in a row because it is literally note for note the same show every night. The Grateful Dead was literally note for note anything but the same show from night to night. They played the same songs, but they played them differently. They played them in different sequences. They played them according to the mood of the moment, and that meant that everybody in the band and everybody in the audience was participating together. And the Grateful Dead listened to their audience more than most bands did too. And I know this from my own experiences as a performer. It's much less interesting to play to a room of people who aren't paying attention and aren't listening back. It's really, really interesting to play to fans that are paying attention and giving you feedback. And the Grateful Dead had a really, really good circuit between the audience and the stage. And they were looking at us and hearing what we were thinking in response to what they were doing. And it made for a very, very compelling relationship for us. And interestingly, over the 50 plus years I've been a fan of this, it became a more valid model of the entire way of making music. The record business did not know what to do with the Grateful Dead in their early days. They made records. They signed a deal with Warner Brothers Records and put out an album in 1967 that did not produce any hit records, and they didn't actually hit the charts with any meaningful impression until 1987 when they had their one and only #1 hit. But they built an audience. They made their reputation by playing live, and they made their living by playing live. Record making was a fun thing to do, an interesting thing to do, and made them some money, but it wasn't. The primary model of the music industry was that you would make a record, then you'd go out and tour, and people would go to your show, hear the songs, and then go to a store and buy the record. Well, in 2025, nobody buys records anymore, so that model of the music business has evaporated, and record companies now have to figure out ways to sell their music in a world where people don't buy music. By the way, as an aside, Spotify is a terrible thing for musicians. Spotify pays musicians a fraction of a cent for every play. So you may enjoy your money's worth from Spotify, but the process and the structure of Spotify is destructive to the economic well-being of the musicians whose music is played there. Buy the album from the artist you like. It's the only way they're going to survive. But anyway, back to that. So eventually the rest of the music business came around to the Grateful Dead's way of doing things. Now, I remember some 25 years ago, Prince came and played the Oakland Coliseum, and everybody who went to the show got a copy of the album. And that meant right there, that was the indication that the entire music industry was standing on its head, and the whole way of doing things was gone. And that's what we're stuck with now. But the Grateful Dead had been making their living playing music all along and using their albums for other creative interests, but their living came from playing it, from performing. And that's all that's left for us working musicians these days. We go out and we play and we get paid. We make a record and we hope that our fans buy enough of them that we can afford to make another record, but nobody's making a living off of albums unless they're Beyonce. But the Grateful Dead's model of doing things is a really, really wonderful one, and in the course of doing all of this, I've met so many great people and I've collaborated with so many great people, and more and more people have become fans of the Grateful Dead. How many people in this room are Deadheads? Raise your hand. I asked this question the last time I spoke here 15 or 20 years ago, and then the second question I asked was, how many other people in the room are surprised at who raised their hands at that just now? But more people are Deadheads now, and the Grateful Dead has become an insanely successful brand, for God's sake. It's very weird, and some of the old guard fans are sort of protective and defensive of it. Because, oh my God, we were a cult and we were an exclusive club, and now everybody's wearing Skull and Roses logos. Oh my God. But it's fine, because it's a gentle, pleasant, happy, creative bunch of people. Right now I'm working on a book. I'm in the last throes of finishing the text for a book called Aging Gratefully. It is photos. A gentleman named Bill Lemke from Wisconsin took photographs of Deadheads with permission. He set up a studio with a beautiful tie-dyed backdrop in the parking lot of Dead shows in the Midwest in the late 80s, and took photographs of any Deadheads that were willing to stand in front of his camera. Well, 7, 8 years ago, he started photographing some of those Deadheads again. And he amassed a whole collection of then and now portraits, like 40 of them, of people then and now. And his wife called me because I'm a well-known media deadhead and asked for some advice on helping getting the book published. And I demanded that they let me do the text for it. It was such a lovely project. So I started interviewing those people. And I'm writing up the interviews to place between the photos in this book, which will come out in the fall. The reason I bring it up, though, is because all of the people that I spoke to were, the burnouts burned out and left the scene long ago. So these are the ones that survived into adulthood and old age and stuff. But they're all happy, creative people. So many people I know in the Grateful Dead world used their time in that world to fire up their own creative engines. I'm one of those. I was already writing songs when I met the Grateful Dead, but what the Grateful Dead taught me just opened my world up in so many different ways, and now I have musicians all over the country that I can play this music with and stuff. And there are people that are still making tie-dyes and selling them at music festivals, and there are people that were selling grilled cheese sandwiches in the parking lot and are now chefs, or they work in a university kitchen, things like that. But people who were deadheads in college in 1971 are now, one of them became a vice president of the United States, and Senator Pat Leahy, and there's just famous deadheads everywhere because we stayed with it and we became successful geezers, and now we're all old deadheads still going to the shows. And I'm just here to tell you that being a deadhead turned out to be a really, really healthy choice in life. You don't have to take acid to appreciate it. I think that LSD was an important component of the founding of the music, because it's a thing that sort of dissolves your boundaries, and allowed these people to combine very, very different musical and personal styles into something that was a collective entity. Phil Lesh, in his autobiography, said that they wanted to function as the fingers on a hand. They wanted to be one entity in several bodies. So they merged their minds and did this thing. And again, as I said earlier, the power to dominate the rap and the good grace not to means that everybody treats their fellow workers or fellow creators with respect, and they subsume their own thing into the needs of the collective. And so it's not about, Jerry Garcia didn't need to call any attention to himself because everybody was always looking at him anyway, but it wasn't about him, and it wasn't about these, intense guitar solos and everybody putting the spotlight on him. Everybody was playing at maximum creativity together, and they're listening to each other, and they're doing something that by far transcends what any one of the individuals could do on their own. And that's a model for human interaction that I have really appreciated and followed all my life. And again, I have the great good fortune of working with people who also love this music, and we have this way of working together that's a really successful model of human interaction that I recommend to everybody. Any questions so far?
Stay right here, David. David, thank you so very much for reminding me of some good times I had many, many, many years ago. And we talked about...
If you remember those times, they weren't that good.
Well, they were pretty good, and I'm certainly glad social media wasn't around back then. And talk about branding, this is Jerry Garcia tie, so they cross generations. So I'm wondering if we have any questions for David? Bill?
I'm getting there, Bill. Oh, wait, Dave's getting there.
Do you know how the Grateful Dead got their name? I don't.
The Grateful Dead got their name out of a dictionary. They were calling themselves the Warlocks. This all happened in Palo Alto, by the way, in the shadow of Kepler's bookstore. They were calling themselves the Warlocks, and then somebody found a record by another band called the Warlocks in a record store, and they decided if they were going to get famous, they had to come up with a new name. And several of the band members were in the living room of one of the band members, and they were tossing out ridiculous names for bands, and somebody jumped up, opened up this giant dictionary, I think it was a Funkin' Wagnalls, literally picked a page at random and pointed. And the finger pointed at the phrase Grateful Dead, which is a term from folklore. It's a particular style of folk tale of which There are variations in many, many countries. A guy named Bob Franzosa published a book 25 so years ago, a collection of the different versions of the Grateful Dead folktale, but that's where it came from. They found it in a dictionary. It turned out to be, first of all, let's see. David Nelson said that when he was part of that scene and became a member of the New Riders, the Purple Sage later. He said, Jerry called me and his wife into a room and said, we're going to call ourselves the Grateful Dead. And a bunch of people were like, oh, that's a scary name. That's going to put people off. And in fact, Bill Graham was kind of offended by the name and didn't want to put it on a poster for one of the first gigs they ever did. But David Nelson's take on it was, oh, this is great. This will really separate the namby-pambies from the real souls here. You know, if you can get past the name Grateful Dead, you're all right. And the thing is, I remember not being interested in the Grateful Dead, and a lot of people told me this story. Again, in these collection stories I've been collecting for this book, people said, yeah, I thought this was going to be some kind of death metal band with a name like that. And then they turned out to play in this really sweet folk music. It was cool.
For those that don't know, a shakedown street or a shakedown is sort of an open-air market that takes place before a Grateful Dead concert.
Yeah.
Many say the first one happened at a Grateful Dead concert in Troy, Wisconsin. However, I point to Peralta Park right next to the Henry J. Kaiser Auditorium as where the sort of inception of that idea started. Can you talk about that?
Yes, I live less than a mile from that spot, and I've been walking to Grateful Dead shows since the 1970s. And yeah, there was a big thing across the street from the HJK every time, and in fact, it all came to a head. It started earlier than that, though. Peter Barsotti, who worked for Bill Graham, and Bob Barsotti, there was a tour in January of 1978, a California tour, and Bill walked into the production trailer one morning on this tour, and he said, what are all those freaks doing outside? The show isn't until tomorrow night. And one of the Barsottis said, well, they've been along with us for the whole tour. You know, they go to every show. And Bill said, oh, well, we better get them some water and toilets out there and stuff. And so that was the first time that the production recognized and acknowledged that there was a group of people that were literally following them from show to show, and they started accommodating them. And over time, it got to where the thing about Troy, Wisconsin, that's the East Troy, Wisconsin is where Alpine Valley Music Center is located, and that's where this guy, Bill Lemke, was doing the photos. But in that time, in the late 80s, they allowed people to camp in the parking lot. This is one of the stories I collected from the book I'm working on. They charged these people like 20 bucks a day to camp in the parking lot, set up their vending in the parking lot, and they literally could stay there the whole weekend. They'd put tarps down over their stuff and go into the show, then come out after the show, and camping and vending in the same place. That got out of hand, and by around 1990, they had stopped doing that because it was just completely out of hand and over the top. And it, of course, attracted a sort of a parasitic group that just came for the fun, came to make some money, came to score drugs, and did not respect the norms of the tour that the rest of the Deadheads had been observing.
Michael has a question for it.
Thank you. My wife mentioned this morning that well, I knew this, but she attended both the Altamont concert and many New Year's Eve concerts at Winterland. Do you have any memories or thoughts on either or both of those?
Which was the first one?
Altamont.
Altamont? I overslept and missed my ride, which probably worked out well in the long run, because actually, though, several of my friends went and they didn't notice any. They were too far away to notice all the bad stuff that was going on. So I didn't go to Altamont. Joel Selvin wrote a magnificent book about it. The best book on that subject is the one that Joel Selvin wrote. It's just called Altamont. Really, really well researched and non-polemical, I guess. Winterland was a wonderful place. First time I ever saw the Grateful Dead was at Winterland. It was pretty ramshack. The first time I ever went to Winterland was to watch English military marching bands. My dad was a big fan of that, so we went and watched the Coldstream Guards doing their drills in Winterland, for God's sake. And then a couple years later, on that massive dose of LSD I mentioned earlier, I sat in the last row of Winterland at 120 degrees up there and saw my first Grateful Dead show. And I saw dozens of Grateful Dead shows at Winterland after that. They closed it down at the end of 1978, and that's when the whole thing moved over here to Oakland. The Barsotti brothers went off in search of venues, and they found that the Oakland Auditorium, now known as the Henry J. Kaiser, was an appropriate thing for our scene, and we started going there. The first show there was August 4th of 1979. And we just made ourselves right at home in there, you know. It was a little bit bigger than Winterland, but it was similarly funky, similarly tolerant of our behavior. And it was a really, really fun place, and saw tons of shows there.
Joe, Kelly, guest from the Oakland Ed Fund, has a question.
Thank you so much. As I hear you speak, I'm just reflecting on the power of oral history, and your book clearly sounds amazing. And with the Open Grown Student Art and Music Festival coming up, I'm thinking, how do we continue to have this legacy of art and the incredible history of artists continue in this next generation?
People have been collecting stories for centuries. There's this, is the StoryCorps project still exists, where they would send like a bus out into the country and set up and collect stories from people. And I don't know what to tell you about the big picture. I have been an oral historian by default for 50 years now, collecting stories from people, interviewing them on the radio and elsewhere, and publishing the results. And in fact, I gathered so many great stories for this book that won't fit, because we don't want the text to overwhelm the images. So I've got to boil these things down to just the essence to go in between. But I'm thinking that the unedited interviews would be good to publish separately, because there's so many great stories to be told there. And there's also a citizen project. There's a series of books called Deadhead Stories that was organized in a Facebook group by a guy named Giuliano. And so there's the community itself has been collecting stories and publishing them, and I'll continue to do so as long as I have opportunities to. But I don't know what to tell you about the bigger picture. I can only control my little corner of the domain here.
We have time for one more question if there's one. If not, I'll ask.
I got one right here. Joe, hold on.
Please.
Keith Uriarty's dying to ask a question.
Not to date myself, the first time I saw the Grateful Dead in the 1960s was the Avalon Ballroom, the Family Dog, and Chet Holmes. Grateful Dead never played at the Fillmore for some reason, but then that changed. Do you know anything about the history between Chet Holmes, the Grateful Dead, and Bill Graham?
You said the Grateful Dead never played the Fillmore? That's false.
They did not. In the 1960s, they played at the Avalon Ballroom.
And they played the Fillmore.
Pardon me?
They played both.
Okay, all right.
I mean, Bill, the first show the Grateful Dead ever played as the Grateful Dead was a mime troupe benefit that Bill Graham produced. Again, I mentioned he didn't like using the name Grateful Dead on there, but they worked for him at the Fillmore as early as June of 1966.
David, we very much appreciate your presentation today. I just want to chime in and say I was no stranger to Winterland. I did make it to Altamont. I had to walk 2 miles to get there. I know we've been talking about a new meeting location. Winterland would make this place look like a 5-star hotel.
It was funky.
It was funky. Dave, we'd much appreciate your presentation, and in your honor, we're making a donation to End Polio Plus. It's Rotary's signature project. We're hoping we will end polio in the world. It's in the last 4 decades that we've been working on, polio cases have been reduced 99.9%. It's down to 2 countries, war-torn countries, Afghanistan and Pakistan. So please know, because of your presentation, you're ending polio, and I have a little 4-way test coin for you to take with us. Thank you so much.
I appreciate that. I appreciate your work. Let's hope the current Secretary of Health and Human Services can't do any more damage than he's already done.
I don't know if there's any more bell ringers out there. If there is, now's the time. Shannon, I have a half a second if you want to make a quick pitch.
Hello, everybody.
Past President Shannon Hackley, yay!
Do you miss me? Hey, there's a flyer. Barbara already mentioned it. Great event, October 16th. Put it on your calendar. It's at the Colombo Club. Who's ever been to the Colombo Club? I've never been there, so I'm going just because I've never been there. It's going to be a fellowship and a district assembly, so please come. Mark it down, and Oakland's hosting. They always go in San Jose, so it's at home. And there's a surprise 49er speaker.
Barbara and Bill, would you make your, Barbara and Bill, will you guys make your way to the back of the room? That way our members can greet you as they're leaving. Kimberly?
Yes.
Can you remind us again what the awesome event coming next week is?
That's what I'm here to do, President Joe. September 11th, remember to come to Children's Fairyland at 5 o'clock. There'll be food and beverage, all your favorites. There's a QR code on your table if you just want to scan it in for your RSVP. And we'll see you there, 5 o'clock, September 11th. Food and beverage and puppets.
Thank you, Kimberly. I'm looking forward to it. I love the puppet show. Can't wait. So I want to thank everybody.
Joe, before you adjourn, can I just make mention on your table?
Please.
There's a front and back summary sheet of the great accomplishments under the leadership of President Shannon. This is to help educate all of you who may not know all the things that the club's doing, and it's also a great piece for you to give to prospective members and others who are interested in our club. So take one. It'll be on the website soon as well.
Thank you for doing that, David. Julie, looks like you got a quick something.
Yes, thank you. If anybody has a bell ringer and would like to pay for it now, I'll be at the table, please. Thank you very much.
So a big thank you to everybody that made this meeting possible. And I want to end with this thought. Through Rotary, peace will come someday, and we will end polio too. Look out, Oakland Rotary's on the run. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.
What it means to reciprocate.